How you doing, right?
I'm great. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. Not bad.
How is quarantine treating you?
Do you know what? It's been fine. It's been fine. I've missed working in the gym hands-on with the
Mm,
fighters. I've missed that. Missed the shows, things like that. But as for being locked down with the family and whatever, we've kept busy, kept a routine straight away, kept the kids busy and occupied, kept up my training. So yeah, I've handled it fine, really. Just
I
had
think
Just had like two, maybe 3 days where you're like fed up. Other than that, fine.
I think your son might be the breakout star of quarantine.
Well, he's got a wicked attitude. He really has got a wicked attitude, and he's him and my daughter have been a godsend because they've kept my mind occupied, and
Yeah.
it's just broke every day up, and the days have really flown past. Each day is just flying. So yeah, it's been good.
Well, here's a question for you because it's one that I'm always very interested in, especially when we look at elite athletes and what was their environment when they were growing up in. Did they have somebody that was very encouraging, that spoke to them about being the best, or did they come from the other side where they didn't feel like there was an opportunity for them to be great, so they wanted to prove something?
Yeah,
With your son, obviously football a little bit different to boxing,
yeah.
but is that something that you've instilled in him from a young age? Like, what's your approach to parenting? Be great no matter what it is that you want to do.
Just be the best it can be, and just I'm instilling into his mind and my daughter's, but especially with him in sport, is just don't put any restrictions on yourself. Don't listen to anybody saying, oh, you're never going to do this, you're never going to do that. And if you're willing to work harder than absolutely anybody else in the world, why can't you be the best? And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I look at it, and that's how he looks at it. So, there's no restrictions on him. I don't, when people, um, if you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? He wants to be the best player in the world.
Mm.
And it's like what I said to him was, um, aim to be the best in the world. If that's what you want to be, if you want to be a footballer, don't just aim to be a footballer. Want to be the best in the world, but understand he understands that the chances of becoming a footballer are very remote because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many kids. He understands that in every. There's his team, and there's other teams in the league, and there's other teams beyond that. There's all the way around the country, all the way around the world. So all these kids that are playing football, and only a minute percentage of them are going to make it to be a footballer. But he understands that, and
Mm.
he understands that somebody has to become the best player in the world. Why not you? If you're willing to work hard, why not you? And it's what I say to my fighters. It's the same thing. Why not you? Just because other people's opinions are, oh, you've got no chance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop dreaming so high, so big. Why not?
Look at the boxers that you've worked with in the past. Do you find that those that are kind of setting out to achieve, elite level status, that they have continued to keep that sort of childhood dream of being the best or being a world champion? Or is it something that they have to refine as they sort of train and as they achieve as they go?
It it varies on the individual because going back way back, say for instance when Ryan Rhodes came to me,
Mm-hmm.
he'd had that where he had the fast build up as a young fighter, becoming the quickest owner of a Lonsdale belt in record time. He had all the fame and the razzmatazz that came with being a hot prospect, and then his career plateaued and then it went downhill, and
Mm-hmm.
where to the point where everyone thought he'd retired, and everyone when he came to me, he was after respect of the fans because people didn't really respect him as such, and they
Mm-hmm.
just thought he was this flash fighter that as soon as you hit him on the chin, that's it. That's all he is. Um, and people thought he'd retired and the dream had ended, sort of thing. He wanted respect, and he wanted to become British champion. That's what he wanted to do. I think it was, can't remember how many years apart it was, maybe 10 years apart or something like that. Um, and we got that, but then the flame starts raging again, and
Yeah.
then we got the world ranking, we got the European title, And then we thought, the ultimate dream was, we fought Canelo for the WBC World Championship in Mexico. So the dream can be reignited, the flame can be reignited, even if you think, that everything's kind of like passed you by, and people telling you now too old because you're in your 30s. It varies. Then you get your young kids like your Hopi Prices that are fresh off of having so much amateur success, and their mentality is to be the best. I was the best as an amateur, so I want to be the best as a pro. Each individual is different, really.
In your opinion, what separates a regional or a British champion to a world level elite champion?
That's a difficult question, because it's a good question, but there's so many different things that make that up. Obviously, ability to learn, the ability to improve, but I believe mindset plays such a massive key to that, because there are those that they are confident, they expect to become a champion, and then when they hit that bump, maybe a first loss, or everybody thinks you've got beat, you got a lucky decision or whatever. The confidence just all of a sudden can take a backseat and can take a dip, and then the doubts start creeping in. Or maybe they don't learn, maybe they're stubborn, they don't learn from that loss. They make excuses rather than acknowledging what was the reason for the loss. And so they don't absorb that, and it doesn't make them a better fighter, because a loss can make you a better fighter. I look at Jordan Gill, the loss that he had made him a better fighter. He is a better fighter today because of that defeat. Now, he didn't see that for a good few months, because he was too busy being upset about the loss, feeling low, and handling a defeat, because it's very difficult to take that on board. Especially when with him, he'd struggled for recognition. His career was kind of like just flickering away. Then all of a sudden, things exploded over a period of a year, 18 months. In fact, it was a year. And then you think that you're on that wave that's going to take you to where you want to be, and then you fall off the wave. Then there's that, being upset, being down, having to cope with that, and that takes time. But now he's got over, he got over the upset of it. But then you can look back and look at things, decisions he made in the fight that were wrong. Because firstly, he wasn't well, but then he made decisions in the fight that cost him the loss. But he acknowledges that, he understands that, and he's now putting that into training and into his mentality, where he has changed, he's improved, and now he's not even putting the same amount of pressure that he used to put on himself. A lot of that is, again, with fighters, the difference between making it to such a level and making it to the top is understanding how to get the best out of themselves. As a coach, you need to be able to get the best out of your fighter, but your fighter needs to be able to get the best out of himself. And a lot of that comes down to a mental process.
Well, that kind of touches on my next question that I wanted to ask you, in that when you do have a fighter that has suffered a loss, or is feeling, that their maybe motivation or their self-belief has kind of dwindled a little bit, at what stage as a coach do you swoop in? What is the method? Is it be realistic? Is it kind of build up their confidence again? Is it a kind of a flat line instruction, or does it depend on who the fighter is and what your relationship is?
Again, it depends on the fighter. It 100%. You're dealing with different personalities. It's like when you deal with children.
Yeah.
Every kid's got a different personality, and you can't just teach everybody the exact same, and you can't speak to everybody the exact same, because it's some kids need that little bit more attention, need that little bit more of an explanation. Some kids need to be able to understand something before they can go ahead and do it, whereas other kids, you can just tell them what to do, and then they'll just go ahead and do it anyway without even thinking about it. So I talk a lot to my fighters during every session, every day. It's not just the instructions of what we're going to do. It's why do I want you to do it? Why? And while you're sparring and I'm talking to you, I'm talking in a conversation saying, do you see that? You see what happened there? Even if a shot misses, do you see what happened there when you did that? Because you gave him an opportunity for that. And it's just educating them while they're in the ring, while they're doing every aspect of the training. You're educating and you're talking them through it, and you're kind of like guiding them through the minefields. And by educating them, they begin to be able to think for themselves. And so then they see that you can't just, the majority of the fighters that make it to the top are fighters that can think for themselves and intelligent fighters. Now, you're not just born intelligent and got it all there. We absorb information, whatever it is. When you learn how to tie your shoelace, you have to practice it and you have to focus. You have to really, really concentrate on it. Everything, you really, really concentrate on it. And you couldn't do anything else. And you couldn't have anybody speak to you or anything. But then you absorb that information, you've learned it, and then you become where you're doing it that often that you stop thinking about it. Then you start speaking while you're doing it. Then you don't even look at your laces while you're doing it. Now you don't even think about it if you tie your shoelaces. You've been watching TV, talking to somebody else, and rushing to do it at the same time without even thinking about what you're doing. Now, when you're training, repetition, information that you're taking on board as well, day in, day out, it all goes into the pot, and then you have to make it all fit and be comfortable with it in order to then to process it and then to act on it, and different fighters learn at a different stage. It's funny, I was speaking to Jordan about this the other day, where and we're in lockdown, and the training that we've been doing is over FaceTime and stuff like that. I'm really happy with where he's at. It's not like we've took a step back at all, because we've stripped everything down and been very, very specific on what we've been doing in the sessions. And I look at him now and I see his shape, his mechanics, and just his posture. And he's better now than what he was before lockdown. The only thing is he'll probably not be as sharp with timing because of not sparring and things like that. So I was explaining to him that when Ryan Rose came to me, he came to me for the last 8 years of his career. The best part of his career came in his 30s, late 20s and into his 30s. Bellew, the best part of his career came in his 30s. These fighters took a good about 3 years before it really clicked in with what I'm wanting to do with them, what, the process, before it kind of really like got a grip of them, and before then it started all working. Jordan's been with me now just 2 years, and he's still only just 25 years old. So he's already won a Commonwealth. He's already won a WBA International. So we fell off the ledge a little bit, when he was beaten, but he's still only just 25 years old. So he's got so much time in front of him. He's still got so much learning to do. And it's only now that I look at him and I think he's now getting it. He's now maturing. He carries himself as a more mature fighter at 25 years old. Whereas before, he was still that youthful fighter that kind of like doesn't know his place in the sport yet. And you have to understand that when you grow, he grew up in the Ingle gym from 16, I think it was 16, 17 years old. It might have been a bit later. And he had his first 16 fights there. But he's in a gym where there's lots of all these other fighters, that are getting all the media attention. Things like, you kind of like put yourself in a little hole, and you don't want to kind of come out of it because you don't feel it's your place. And when you're not getting the attention or you're not getting the limelight on you, you've got to learn all that side of you as well to build the confidence, because you're a little bit more introvert than what you need to be. So then it's taken a process that now he's had to find his feet and kind of spread his wings a little bit. And it's just things that take time.
So obviously, since you started coaching, and you've obviously been involved in boxing for so many years. What has been the biggest change that you've seen? A lot of people put the biggest changes down to maybe social media and the role that social media has played in boxing or in sport. Would you agree with that? And also, how do you prepare your newer fighters to deal with not only how they present themselves on social media, but how they deal with the positive or maybe the negative backlash that will come with that?
Yeah, it's 100% social media is a massive, massive game changer for everything, for football, for boxing, whatever. Things that you could do in the past, you can't do now because everybody's got a camera. You cannot do anything. You are under the spotlight 100%. You know, little things where if you've got a line of people asking for photos and stuff and you need to get somewhere, you have to be able to handle that, because the first person you say no to, that's it. It spreads like wildfire on social media. People, I met him, blah, blah, and he said no, this. People don't want to know the circumstances. Do you know what I mean? It might be that you're late for an appointment. It might be that you're with your kid. There's so many things with social media that are a negative thing, because people can make up accounts, start slagging you off, start saying this, saying that. And if you let it get to you, then it can destroy you. No two ways about it. I like social media in the respect that it gives the fans a way of having contact with you, as in not where, constant contact, but what I mean is they can have a little window, a little peek into what you do, a bit more about your personality. I think I always advise my fighters when they sign with me, when they come to my gym or managements, you need to get active on social media. And by that, I mean, let people see what you're up to. Let them see a bit of your training. You don't show them everything. You show them what you want to. You have control of it. So it's your social media. You have control of it. So let them have a little sneak peek so they feel like they understand what it is you're doing. And if somebody can connect with you on a emotional level, just by where you think that he's a cool dude, he's fine, she's sound. If you like somebody, you're more inclined to be interested in what they do when it's fight night. If you don't like somebody, or if you don't know somebody, you just switch TV on, it's two fellas on. You might not be. I'll catch up in a bit, turn it off. You want people to be watching you, because the way that this game is that it's not necessarily about who's the best fighter. It has to be a fighter that's got the talent and got ability, but also can sell, be it tickets or be it viewing numbers for TV stations, TV channels. And a big part of that is that people have got to be able to connect with you on some level of emotion. Because, like I said, if you want me to spend money on coming to watch you do what you do, I've got to be interested in it. Number one, I've got to be interested in what you do. And number two, I've got to be interested in you, because otherwise I'm going to go to the bar, I'm going to come out and watch somebody else, or I'm just not even going to bother coming, And so social media is a great tool for that, because people get to see you a little bit. The flip side of that is whatever posts you put out, you've got to expect you're going to get shit. You're going to get hatred. You're going to get people slagging you off. People want to run you down. But I can't say to you, just ignore it, because we're human and we have emotions, right? So when I see a tweet, and so you'll get shitloads of positive comments, great comments, it's great. And then you see that tweet or that Instagram post that's not. You can't ignore it, because you've seen it. Once you've seen it, it's gone into you. So by saying to somebody, just ignore it, that's bullshit. That you don't know their personality, but you can't just expect somebody just to ignore it. So I say, you acknowledge it. I acknowledge it. Or if somebody says something, it goes in one ear, I acknowledge it. All right, okay. But then I'll let it out. I'll let it out. So I acknowledge it because I've read the tweet. I acknowledge it. But then I scroll up and it's gone. It's gone. It's only still there if I scroll back down and look at it again. But it's gone. And what I'll do sometimes, if I'm bored, I'll have a bit of fun and I'll respond, or sometimes you try and educate people, and you'll give them an answer just to explain something. And then sometimes they come back and say, oh, okay, all right, cheers for reply, didn't really think that, blah, blah. Okay, fair enough. But then if you keep on, then you're just gone. But what I didn't used to like doing was I didn't like blocking people. I never used to block people because they wear it as a badge of honor. But you know now, I don't give a shit. I just block
Yeah.
them. Because at the end of the day, what do I care if somebody's walking around as a badger on and putting a screenshot, oh, Dave Coldwell blocked me. I don't care. I don't care
Yeah.
because the bottom line is the more negativity that you allow to come into your space and into your headspace, then the more of a detrimental effect it's going to have on your life. Now, you can be the most positive person in the world. I'm really, really positive, yeah. But anyone that walks around smiling 24/7 and singing Disney songs 24/7 is either not all there or they're lying to themselves because it's bullshit, right? Everybody has the parts where they have a down day or something gets to them or they don't feel right about themselves. And you have to be able to control what you see on social media. If it gets to a point where it gets to too bad, have a break of it if you can't manage that. But I can manage it, and I've come from a kid that used to get bullied and like had it bad as a kid, and then even as a young adult, even as a coach coming through, people telling you shit, you'll never do anything, you can't do anything. Even now, I still get tweets and still get comments about how shit I am and stuff like that. And the thing is, you either learn how to deal with it or you get away from it. We are hard. People think that trolls have control over you. They don't. You have the control because you can press block. You can choose not to see another tweet of them again. That's it. You know, that's what it is. You have the control. You have the power to what they get to see. If they make up another account and tweet again, then you block that one again. Block that one again. Who cares? Just block it. Don't allow the negativity to come in because you'd be surprised the amount of especially people that have a lot of followers and people that have a lot of negative comments coming their way. When you start blocking them off, it's great because eventually you hit a point and you think to yourself, I don't actually see much negativity on Twitter, on social media is not bad. It's not that it's not bad, it's just you're getting rid of it. You know, it's like if you order something and you know, if you have an apple that's perfect and it's got a bit of bruise, I chop that bit of bruise out and get rid of it. I don't eat it. I don't sit there looking at it while I'm eating around. I just get rid of it. It's gone, and then the rest of my apple's nice. You know,
That's an amazing analogy.
But it's like that. We have the power to cut things out
Yes.
in our lives that we're not happy with. You know, especially when it's what other people's opinions are.
Absolutely. You know, for anyone that watches any of your interviews, David, or looks at you when you do the Analyze on Sky Sports, you know, there's always a lot of insight and there's always a lot of wisdom, not only from a boxing perspective, but kind of from a life perspective. And I'm wondering, where has that come from within yourself? Are you someone that likes to, you know, read to educate yourself? Where did this kind of massive sort of like knowledge come from?
Do you know what? I would never say that I'm full of knowledge. It's just what's in my mind, my opinions. I'll look at a lot of things. It's like just doesn't even have to be boxing. Certain things about your body and about how your mind works, your body works, things like that. I see a science study or whatever, then I'll read into it more. I don't just take one news or one person's opinion for something. If something triggers me, then I'll start looking into it. It's like there are three things that I use like as part of my life. One's CBD, one's NAD plus, and one's resveratrol. Now I would never tell people, oh, take it out. But what I'll say is these things do things for me, all natural things, what your body needs and what your body runs on. They do things for me, but I've investigated them and spent time on them and really looked into things, and then it works for me. So if you want it, go for it. But it took time, you know. It's like with boxing, I study boxing. I just watch fights. I watch fights. I always have to. I did when I was a kid. When I was boxing, I used to get VHS back then of all the top fighters back then. Your Whitakers, your Trinidad's, Roy Jones, Vargas, Abjuda, everybody, Mike McCallum's, everybody. I've just watched videos and videos and videos.
Yeah.
So that's stored in there, but a lot a lot for me is, I would say that I can I can see things that are shades of grey, not just black and
Mm-hmm.
white, because a lot of things aren't just black and white. Um, and I listen to smart people, you know. That's and I've had a lot, despite what people think, I've had a lot go off in my life. And so a lot of it is just how I've dealt with things, how I've seen things, how I've seen other people deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like come from there. I mean, when I first started out in corners, I used to do the house seconds job for Frank Warren. So I was a bucket boy, but I was a bucket boy like this, hoping nobody's gonna spit on me. Right? I try and make my short arms even longer to make sure that I've got as far a gap away from my face as I could. But I'm listening to great trainers
Yes.
go to work. I was listening to top trainers go to work and just listen how they dealt with certain situations that were going on in fights. How do they get into different characters? You know, so I absorbed that, and so some of what I know now comes from that. You know, some of
Mm-hmm.
how I handle things now. I might pick things from Brendan Ingle, who I've spent 10 years with down at that gym. Um, Adam Booth, I've spent years with working in and out of. And the funny thing is, me and Adam always had the same sort of philosophy and way we look at boxing. But then there's other coaches that I've looked at. You know, there's all sorts. So it's just a mixture, really, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
whatever comes into mind for that situation, really.
Obviously, it's 2 years to the day that we lost Brendan.
Yeah.
And there's been so many lovely tributes online today, videos and pictures and different things, and everyone's sharing their memories. What would you say is the one thing that you've taken, that you learned from Brendan in your time with him, that you've brought into your own coaching abilities?
Coaching wise, about being smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for fans when you watch two guys standing there having a tear up. It's not great for your brain cells. It's not great for your longevity, and it's not great for your after boxing career or life. You know, Brendan was always about being smarter. You know, it's not just about going in there and having a tear up. Um, you know, that's that's what that gym was built on. Really, it was built on hitting and not getting hit. And that's something that I've always gone forward with. You know, we might not do the same sort. My fighters might not box in the same sort of style, but the philosophy in this, is basically the same. You know,
Mm-hmm.
don't go in there and just to look for a tear up. If you have to have a tear up, then you have to, but be a little bit smarter.
Very good. Another thing that I wanted to ask you about before, while we were talking, everyone gets an opportunity to ask questions. So I'll have a look at the question box from the viewers in just a bit. But obviously, a big part of your career was your time with Tony Bellew. And
Mm.
obviously, we're watching him at the moment on Celebrity SAS.
Yeah.
He's my favorite, no bias intended. But one of the things that I've noticed in watching him on it, and then the media that he's done since he retired, is the longing that he still has to be back in there. And I'm wondering, as a coach with someone that you spent that much time with, how do you prepare someone for retirement? And how do you help them, if you can, to ease that gap? Because I always wonder about it. The elite level guys that
Mm.
dedicate so much time of their lives to the sports and being great and achieving what they need to, and then suddenly it's over. How do you fill that gap that inevitably will be there?
It's very hard. You can make suggestions all you want, but they've got to be interested in it. They've got to be able to take that on board.
Mm-hmm.
What you got to think about with people like Tony is that he's been boxing 20 years. It's
Yeah.
been 20 years of his life, and the problem is he loves to fight. He
Mm.
loves to fight. You know, he's not a big fan of the training side of things, but the sparring and the fighting absolutely loves. And so he's missing that, and it's understandable, and it takes time, and you have to find something that can fill the void, and that's what he's been doing for
Mm-hmm.
since he retired, really. You know, businesses and doing other things outside, they're not the same. They're not the same. It's simple as that. They're not the same. And it's just time. It's only time for your body to adapt, for your mind to adapt. You know, and the people around you. You know, he's got a great family. He's got a great family around him. He's occupied with the kids, which is always a help. Always a help. So he's occupied with kids, and he's got kids at all different ages as well. So there's that's gonna, you know, keep his mind going, and keep, you know, a void filled. And then he's in a fortunate position where he is doing different bits of TV and things like that. So those little projects will give him a different challenge, and he sees that. You can see that on SAS. He sees it as a challenge. It's not just gone on there as, you know, as to have a crack. He sees it as a challenge. So little things like that, and I think the problem is with athletes, we are very challenge orientated. You need that challenge. You need to set yourself a target and to go. And it's finding what can motivate you to be able to do that. I was lucky in the fact that but I'm a coach. I still work in it. I spoke to Bellew about being a coach. Would you ever? He's like, no. He hasn't got the patience for that whatsoever. But what he's doing now is managing a handful of fighters, and that's keeping him in there and keeping his mind occupied a little bit. But you know, there's still time for him to still find what's going to be a passion and what's going to fill that void. And until he does that, then that's where you've just got to keep yourself active, keep yourself busy until you can do that.
Absolutely. And for yourself, what has you staying in the business for so long?
I love it. I love it. You know, this year in November it'll be 30 years that I've been in boxing. So yeah, that's.
Do you think that you have to love it? You have to be in love with what you do to stay in it for this long and to be happy and do it.
I think that whether it's boxing, interviewing, whatever, you know, if you don't love it, then it's just a job. And I've not worked since I was 20 years old, you know, because I do something I love. I never get up in the morning and think, oh God, I've got to go to the gym. Oh, it's fight day. I've never. Do you know what I mean? I've never felt that. You know, I enjoy what I do. I don't enjoy it. I love what I do. Be it like the managing, the coaching, the TV punditry. I love all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like I'm doing something that I would never have dreamt that I could have done when I was younger. I'd never have dreamt that I could do this. And I would never. I remember when the kids found out that I'd started boxing, they were taking bets on how many weeks I'd last.
No way.
Yes, yeah. They were all taking bets on how many weeks I'd last. Oh no, a couple of weeks. That's it. 30 years later, you know, I'm still involved in it, and I'm still loving it. So yeah, it's something I love, and it's something I'll never stop doing. I'll never stop doing.
Did those kids play a part in you being determined to make something in the sport?
Yes, because the kids and my mother, I didn't have a great home life. They all keep me on my toes, because I don't want to prove that they were right, you know. I always believed that I'd do something with my life. Even when I was shit as a fighter and I was getting beat and nothing, I always knew that I'd end up doing something with my life. But nobody else did. And there was only one person in my life when I was younger that ever thought that. She didn't think that I'd do anything. I know she didn't, but she was the only one that said, if you believe you can do it, carry on. And that was my gran. She was the only person, you know. And unfortunately, she died before the TV stuff and doing the big stuff happened. So she never saw that. But yeah, she was the only one that ever kind of like give me any sort of encouragement. Everybody else just, you know, said I was shit and I'll never do anything. So they're part of my makeup. But I don't think about them now. I don't think, oh, I've got to do it. I don't think about them now. It doesn't bother me. But in answer to your question, they are part of me, of what made me so determined and keep going, and why part of the reason why I'll never be satisfied in what I do. I can win, we've won world title fights, and on, either laid in bed on the night, I'm replaying the fight, but then I'm also thinking, when we fight him, he did that, and we could struggle because of that. Things like that. I mean, when Bellew fought BJ Flores, and he boxed, he would tell. I mean, I bollocked him straight off. I said, well done, you got to win, got what you wanted, but it was shit. And in my mind that night, I just, I should be buzzing because we just won a world title fight. And I was stressing, thinking, fucking hell, if he fights like that against him, he's getting beat. So I can't, and my wife always says, I don't seem to enjoy the moment enough. That's something I'm trying to work on, because I need to push for the next one. Do you know what I mean? So it's but that's part of my makeup. That's what I am.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, being present in the moment or enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the question box and see what everyone would like to ask. Okay, let's see. Pat McMahon has asked, what has been your most memorable night at the office?
Quite easy, that one. That's Goodison Park, when Bellew won the WBC world title. That was just incredible. It was just nuts. It was a whole thing. It was the whole build up, the night, walking out at Goodison Park before the crowd came in, and you just see the arena, how it's going to be. When Bellew came, but he'd been out to have a look at the venue, and he'd come back in, and he just started crying, and I'm like, wow. What the fuck? I've never seen Bellew cry in my life, but that's because he saw his son, and it just sent him to pieces, and we had to get him back switched on, because that was a real worry. He's about to go out there and fight for a world title. But then when we walked out, and the atmosphere, and you looked at that stand, all the crowds just bouncing, chanting his name, just unreal. And when he won, those few seconds where Makabu's head just drops, and it's done. I've completely lost it. That was just the best feeling ever.
Amazing. Charlie Lee has asked, if you wouldn't have become a boxing coach, what do you think you would have done?
Probably. I used to run a car sales company when I was younger. Probably car sales. Worked in retail as well. I worked in retail. Probably something along the lines of that. I'd have wanted to have done something in football, though. I love football.
Do you think, though, no matter what you've done, you would have just had the personality that you would have been successful no matter what it was?
Without boxing, no.
Wow.
Without boxing,
very interesting.
No. It was only if I hadn't have walked into those doors at 15 years old, I would have been one of these kids that you see as like, I don't know where I would have been. I might not even have been here, to be honest.
Wow.
I was a kid that had zero confidence, didn't speak to anybody. Somebody introduced me to somebody, and I'd start sweating and getting hot and clammy because I was too shy to speak to them. So yeah, without boxing, I wouldn't have been able to sell cars. I wouldn't have been able to work in a shop without boxing. So I don't actually know where I would have been, to be honest.
Wow. The Drillson has just asked, was David Price's power as good as everyone had said?
His right hand, his right hand, was a killer. It really was. His right hand could have knocked anybody out.
Take your word for it. Final question before I let you go enjoy the rest of your evening. Karen has asked, if you had to quarantine with 5 people, dead or alive, who are you choosing?
Do you know what? That's so tough. Well, do you know what? I'd have to say my 3 that I've been quarantining with, because they've been a doddle. They've been great. To be honest, I wouldn't want to quarantine with anybody else. It's a tough one. You see, I've sat and I had dinner with Sugar Ray Leonard,
Wow.
and he was my idol. So I've kind of done that. Oh wow.
They say don't meet your idols, so are you saying that's not true?
Leonard's honestly brilliant, amazing. Leonard, Roy Jones, absolutely amazing. They're two of my idols, and I've been in the presence, and it's been unreal. Let me think. It's a difficult one. I used to say Richard Branson, but he kind of pissed me off wanting this grant for his airline. When he's got the money he's got, that kind of pissed me off. It put me off him a little bit. But I used to say Branson, so I might actually have him. No, I won't. I don't know. Okay, so I would say Leonard.
Yes.
I would say David Beckham because I love Becks.
Perfect choice.
Who else? Do you know what? My three.
That's a good enough
Yeah,
table.
my three. Yeah, yeah.
Great stuff. Well, David, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on. It's
Appreciate
been
it.
fun.
Yeah. Thanks so much, and hopefully we see each other soon.
Yeah, definitely. Nice one. Cheers.
Take it
Take care.
easy. Bye.